How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. Been busy. Working on a big ruckus deal. I'm gonna try to close it today. um, so,
Good luck with that.
we're live. Also, we're live on Twitch now too. So we're on LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Now, on YouTube, make sure to click the bell so you get notified every time we come on. So when we're live, we can get some questions. We want to get some real-time questions eventually.
Yeah. We get questions after the fact, like via email.
Yeah, exactly. We a bunch of questions after the fact, but then we're also on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. So I'll put those links below the YouTube video and the LinkedIn video. You can subscribe there and listen to us in the car if you have nothing better to do. All right. So today, first, I wanted to talk about the battle for the 6G spectrum. So I didn't realize this, but AT&T has been suing the FCC for rights to the 6G spectrum that's going to be used for Wi-Fi 6E.
Trying to take away 6 gigahertz.
Yeah, I mean they were. I guess
everybody using it.
Yeah, before anyone's even using it. So that's a good reason not to be an early adopter, I guess, for Wi-Fi 6E. That's why you're only seeing it in the consumer routers, because any of the business class equipment, they want to wait till that stuff's ratified before they
closer
to being ratified. Yeah. But I guess the courts overthrew it, and the 6G spectrum's open for Wi-Fi 6E to use. So that would have been a mess.
Is that battle over yet, though?
I mean, I think it is. I think AT&T wanted to use it for short distance backhaul, and they probably still will. But now they're going to have interference from Wi-Fi 6E.
Hey, we're going to use it for backhauls.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to have some bridges, I'm sure, available, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Can't talk about that.
Not saying that's coming, but...
yeah, it's going to be nice for bridging. All right, so another thing we wanted to talk about, I saw that there's a 3 to 6 month lead time on a lot of vendors' Wi-Fi 6 equipment still. Now, I saw an article in Network World. It was maybe a few weeks back that there's still a 3 to 6 month lead time, and I have seen that on a lot of vendors.
Oh yeah, we're seeing a lot of it as well. I just had a call with a customer yesterday, and that was kind of one of their major questions. Was one that we've already talked about.
Yeah.
Their major questions were, do you have 48 port switches?
No.
And do you have Wi-Fi 6?
Yes.
Those are the two major questions. So
we have it.
Yeah,
we have
we're
Wi-Fi
getting that
6. I'm getting a new shipment today of the 4x4 Wi-Fi 6 ECW 230, so we're fully stocked. And that's the one I go with. That thing's been rock solid, and we've been shipping them for over a year now, I'd say.
Yeah. We also made the 2x2 is a pretty good one too, because we made some updates. So the output power is higher.
Yeah.
The memory is higher now, so it can do more. So that one's pretty good too. But the 230s, yeah, definitely by far the top one. That's the top performing one, and that's the top selling one.
And it's in stock, which is the most important, and available to ship.
Yep.
So contact me if you need some Wi-Fi 6 access points. Contact info below. Okay, so we want to talk a little bit about switch diagnostics, right? So I'll put up a screen. So there's two things. There's switch diagnostics that are coming to the cloud soon, right?
Yeah.
So
can I talk on that for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so what you'll notice, so if you're a cloud user, if you're using our cloud, what you'll notice is not necessarily on the AP side. AP side, we're building new features and putting into the APs and things like that, like tunneling we just added. What was that fix?
I just heard my freezer telling me that the door's open.
Oh, okay.
That's how connected we are here.
We just added tunneling into the access points, so that's a new feature we just added. But what I was saying is, you'll notice with the switches, we have we have a lot of features in the cloud for switches, but you'll notice that we're taking the features that you would find on the local interface and we're putting it into the cloud, so you can do everything remotely. Our switches are hybrid, so you can configure them via the cloud, but you can also log into them locally and make modifications to other features that are not in the cloud, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm showing the cloud switch diagnostic, the graphic right now.
Yeah.
It's not finalized yet, right? This is just like a
It's not
preliminary.
live yet. Yeah.
It's not live yet, and it may not look exactly like this, but you can see we have this screen already from the Wi-Fi AP diagnostics, right?
Yeah, we just added AP diagnostics. So, diagnostics meaning you can do further troubleshooting remotely and not having to go there and do testing. So, like ping and tracer out and so on. So, the same process with switches.
Right. So, and a big thing here is, I mean, yeah, you can see port activity, link state, and all this, but you also have a list of MAC addresses, client MAC addresses, which I know a couple people had asked for in the cloud. So that's going to be in there. And
yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to see the MAC addresses that are the devices that are on that particular switch.
Right, that are wired into the switch, and it looks like you can even edit the device name there. You can say, okay, this is computer A, computer B, and so then you'll be able to use that MAC address maybe in your router or some sort of firewall tables or something like that.
Yeah, that's similar to kind of what we're doing. Not kind of what we're doing with the wireless clients as well. So you can go and you can edit the client. So if it's just giving you like the device name, like it's an iPhone, and it's your iPhone, you can rename it to like Brian or Jeff or whatever it may be.
Okay.
Yeah. So the diagnostics will probably come with you'll have the ability to see the MAC addresses on the ports. Also, like you'll have cable diagnostics, ping, tracer out, and connection diagnostics. So to check the continuity of the cable as well.
And then okay, and then I'm going to show the local switch one now. I'm going to put up that graphic. And let's see. I don't know how that's looking. Move this up a little bit.
Yeah, and if you notice, anybody using our switches, you'll notice that the local interface has changed dramatically.
Yeah, so
it looks very cloud-like. Like the interface looks like you're actually logged into the cloud, but you're actually in the local interface.
Yeah, it's like purple now, right? So you got some more things in there, and
Well, you can go into. I have it in dark mode right now. So.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, it looks much more modern. Like the older Ingenious product, it's kind of like an older interface, right? And it's not susceptible to any of the flaws that came up, right? The web server flaws, right? You don't use Apache in there. Just so people,
no, we do not. No.
Just so people, in case people ask. So I'm showing the actual MAC address, the dynamic MAC address screen here. So if anyone needs that feature now, you can pull it up from the local interface.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of like our switches, that hybrid mode where you can go in and you can pull that info. You can via the IP address you can get there remotely, or if you're sitting local to the network, you can get in. So no problem.
Yeah. So a lot of other cloud products, once it's joined the cloud, the web interface goes blank. Like you don't have any access to it.
It really limits the what you can do within the device. So if it loses like connectivity to like the cloud, for example, our devices already download the
configuration.
They download the configuration locally, so it will always function. So if you lose internet connectivity, it will still work on the LAN side, no problem. But if you need to go in there and make a change, like on a switch port or something like that, you can.
Right.
Temporarily, right?
Yeah, but talk about you don't want to make the main configurations on the local interface, right?
Yeah, so the logic behind that, so if you're managing via the cloud, so these can be managed without cloud whatsoever.
Right.
But if you're managing via the cloud, you want to do all your configurations in the cloud portal, and then those changes will apply to the actual hardware device. So you always want to make your changes in the cloud. If you make them locally, then they will be overwritten by the cloud at one point of time if there's like a reboot or something changes. So you could do that. The one thing I would say about that though is if the feature is in the local device and it's not in the cloud, it won't overwrite that particular feature. If that
So
makes sense.
right. So if there's a setting in the local interface that you don't see in the cloud now, I think maybe there's some LLDP settings, some things like that are in the local interface that aren't in the cloud. Then you
Yeah,
can make the change in the local interface and it'll stick because the cloud won't overwrite that setting.
exactly.
It
Yeah.
can't, right?
Right.
But in general, once you add that device to the cloud, you're going to configure it in the cloud. But if you don't
Yeah, for
want to add
sure.
it to the cloud, then you can just configure it with the local interface, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
All
Really
right,
easy.
nice. All right, what else do we want to talk about here? Oh, let's see. What else? Anything else, Brian? I'm looking at. I had one other thing I was going to talk about, like Wi-Fi 6 features, like,
Oh,
which features are implemented by which vendors. I saw some people. I know early on there was a lot of people asking this, like, oh, are you really Wi-Fi 6? Do you have like
yeah.
OFDMA and multi-user MIMO and all this stuff enabled? And is it in both ways? You want to talk about that a little bit?
We can.
Yeah.
I mean, well, no. What I would say about that is, the early chips, the earlier you came out, the less features you got from the
Yeah.
chip set vendor,
Mm-hmm.
and you couldn't execute on all the Wi-Fi 6 features, right? So it
Right.
really depended on the chipset. But yeah, I mean now it's like you have everything.
Everything's supported now, so there's no reason not to do it. It's just gonna make it better. I know we said before, don't even mess around with Wi-Fi 5 anymore if you don't have to. Like if there's Wi-Fi
Yeah,
6 available, just go with it.
yeah, and you might agree or disagree. So like if you're deploying Wi-Fi 5 today,
Yeah,
you're gonna have to refresh in probably a year,
yeah,
right? Maybe a
yeah.
year and a half.
And I know we did some. You were looking at some performance numbers, right? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, yeah. Do you want to bring that up a little? I mean, they're your
They
performance
are,
numbers.
but you were the one that we're looking at. But we're just basically looking at the difference between Wi-Fi 5 access point and client and Wi-Fi 6,
Yeah,
and it was pretty major. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it was a big change.
yeah. It was. Yeah, it was. You know, let's see. We're talking about what client devices have Wi-Fi 6 now? Like
Right, pretty much everything.
everything, right?
Yeah,
So why would you put in a Wi-Fi 5 network or Wi-Fi access points
right.
when all your client devices are on Wi-Fi 6?
Well,
Like,
for availability, a lot of vendors don't have Wi-Fi 6, I guess, and
yeah, so I don't think that way because we have
I
availability.
know, I know.
so,
So
so
yeah,
if
so if you
somebody's saying
need,
like, yeah, you could probably go with Wi-Fi 5, it's probably because it's not available.
eh, that's
That's the way I
that's
look at it.
that's kind of true. That's kind of true. But yeah, in general, I'd go with Wi-Fi 6. There's no reason not to do it at this point. All right,
Yeah.
so
So,
go ahead.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
it's okay.
So one of the things that came up, I was talking with a customer, and they're like, "Well, my internet connection is X, and so I can't really utilize like the internet connection."
Right,
And I'm like, "That's true, but internally you can, right?
right, right.
All your switches. Well, okay, so your switches are most likely at a gigabit,
Yeah,
right? And then so internal communication will be super efficient, which you really want.
especially the
Um,
bigger the network. Yeah, I mean because you have all broadcasts going on and all to these devices and DHCP happening and all this stuff that the faster your connection, the better, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Um, for
So the
sure.
internal use is going to be really super efficient. So if they're going out and surfing the web, unless they're using some sort of cloud, then maybe maybe think about it. But at one point in time, you're going to upgrade that the internet connection.
Exactly.
Internet be ready for it. So
exactly. And with Wi-Fi 6, we see like if you have a gigabit connection, you want Wi-Fi 6 because you're gonna get much more of that throughput available, right? Like with Wi-Fi 5.11 AC, you maybe see 400 meg of that, and with Wi-Fi 6, you're getting like 650, 700 meg of that now. So it's a big difference. You'll notice that for sure on your phone, on your laptop. And so definitely worth doing. All right, so remember to like and subscribe and click the bell so you get notifications when we come online, like I said before. And again, we're on Apple Podcasts. I'll put the link below. And we'll see you next week.